All right. Good morning. Buenos dias, everyone. Can you hear me clearly? Awesome. Thank you all for being here. Are the early birds and being on time? We're going to get into it with our gathering guidelines for the last time. So Renee's going to help us out by pulling this up, and then we'll just ask for some of you to help us read through what we need. The question, Mike, about homework. Everything up until now has already needed to be submitted. The only
Okay.
thing you have left will be your final evaluation and then your class evaluation for this class, which we'll talk about. So
Okay.
just logistical things, but there is no more homework after today. Yeah, Renee, would you mind making it a little bit larger, please? Excellent. Thank you so much. All right, so here we go. Our guidelines for our time together. Show up and be present. May someone please read that section?
Notice yourselves, what you are thinking and feeling. Pay deep attention to what is happening within you and around you. Extend honor and respect by being visible. Empower and inspire others by role modeling.
Gracias. Thank you so much, Eddie, for starting us off. May someone else please read the section? Pay attention to what is heart and meaning.
Okay.
I will. Oh, look at Trent. Go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead. Okay, I'll go. Pay attention to what has heart and meaning. A, listen from the heart with appreciation for one another. B, speak one at a time. Honor and value those who are speaking. C, honor and use one's another's pronouns. D, refrain from giving each other feedback unless it is requested, if you ask permission, or if it is explicitly part of the process. E, pay attention to your attention. Notice what you are thinking and when your mind wanders, and do what you need to do to bring yourself back.
Yes, thank you, Mike. Up next, may someone please read Tell Your Truth Without Blame or Judgment?
I'll go. Tell your truth without blame or judgment. A, speak from the heart. B, ask for clarification when needed. C, ask for what you need or want. D, choose silence at any time is fine. E, deal with what so as it happens. When something happens that impacts the whole, bring it forward to the group. F, keep yourself safe, whatever that means for you. And G, take breaks as needed.
Thank you so much. Gracias. Up next, last but not least, be open and attached to outcomes. Someone please read that last one.
Okay.
Be open and attached to outcomes. Trust the process. If emotions are activated, please allow each person to have their experience. If tears come, let the person have them. Please don't attempt to calm, just listen. Additionally, we request that you make a commitment to confidentiality. Whatever is said in this room stays in this room. Show of hands.
Everyone can please raise your hands to the last time commitment. Thank you, Adriana and Victoria. Excellent. Hands down. And that last part, please.
Please honor. I can't see me.
Oh, the last part, we honor our time, especially start and end times together. Thank you for that. And I think we're good. No worries, Renee. It was just that last part. We're good. We appreciate it. All right. So to kind of start off with today, so the way today's going to look, we have exam prep for the first hour from 9 to 10, and then we invite alumni like yourselves to come in and be on a panelist. We're also going to be honored. Helen recently took and passed her exam, so she's going to be part of the alumni panel as well. So she'll break down what she did and she got that. And so, yeah, exciting for us as a CAPS crew as well. Then after that, we'll have a brief intermission just to kind of get ourselves together before starting graduation. Once we get through graduation and we've concluded and all of that, then you'll have an opportunity to meet with your student supporter one-on-one. We'll have breakout rooms to talk about where you're at with your CalMates application and to see how much more you can progress through that. And so just to kind of give you an idea of a rundown, we'll go through all of that. Any questions before we get started? Just making sure. All right. So for today, you'll notice that in the student portal, there are a lot of resources, a lot of resources for you to look at, especially for exam prep. And so the idea is not to overwhelm you, but to kind of just provide and give you some information to work with. And so we're going to kind of break down the logistics, but also give you an opportunity to kind of talk about how you're feeling about the exam, and then also maybe some ways to help prepare yourself. One of the things that I will say, I'm going to echo it right now because this is something that we are holding firmly to. As of now, we're asking any students that graduates from CAPS that you sign up and take the exam within 60 days of graduation. So that means 60 days starting from today. And being transparent from you, the reason being that these codes that we provide that end up being $250, it's not free money. And so unfortunately in the past, we've had students that take longer than that and then they don't use the codes. So we end up losing that money, right? And so that's the window that we have. If in order for you to receive your application code of $100 and your examination code for $150, you would register and take the exam within those 60 days. Desiree, did you have a question or comment? Or
Yes. How soon can we take it? Because
Great
test
question.
anxiety is real and I have to just do it.
And you know, it does. I love it. We're gonna get to that in a second.
Okay.
Both parts. But thank you for that. All right. So here we go. Let's see to rock this exam, because you all are now agents of change, and so I love that name. Something to think about here as we prepare. And this is Desiree's point, right? You cannot enslave a mind that knows itself, that values itself, that understands itself. And so it's one of the things that we will highly encourage you to do is to take the exam sooner than later, right? To avoid some of the anxiety buildup and also some of that memory loss, because there is a decline over time. It's just called a diminishing effect, right? And so keep in mind as you're thinking about, well, maybe I can take it as soon as possible, a couple of weeks, maybe in a month. And that's something that you can definitely work with your student supporter as well. Okay, so this is what I'm going to ask you to do and talk, be legit and real, to Desiree's point. In a moment, I'm going to ask Renee, if you wouldn't mind setting up some breakout rooms of 3 to 4 people, please. And let's just set it up for about 5 minutes. And there's one question that you're going to talk together. How are you really feeling about taking the exam and why? So just debrief. Where are you at with this? And once again, honesty helps, right? I'll be honest that I always have test anxiety, especially for standardized tests. But let's talk about it a little bit. So as Renee is setting up those groups in there, remember that the question is, how are you feeling about the exam and why? Does that sound good? All right, let's pause the recording.
Was
here.
that 5 or 10 minutes? I'm sorry.
So everyone's back. We'll wait back until everyone gets here. All righty. Okay, now everyone's back. All right. So thank you for the honesty in there. And so the idea was to kind of have some of these questions going. And as we go through the presentation, definitely want to talk about and make sure that we hit some of these important topics. Would a couple of you want to share anything that stood out to you, or any, like the question that you may have, or maybe something that was shared in one of your teams? Go ahead, Yanni. Thank you.
Question's gonna be like a little story, like a little vignette, and then all of them are gonna be like that.
Yep. And then we're going to cover that as well. Exactly. Good. So like the vignettes are intentional. Exactly. So thank you for making that connection. Anyone else? Any other general comments or questions before we get started?
Right.
Go ahead, Shar.
That's what our group was wondering too, if they were all going to be multiple choice, or if there's any like written questions or like
You have like 5 essay questions, 20 pick. No, just kidding. Yeah. So they are all I know you're like
Right.
That's so not nice, Carlos.
mean Carlos. No, but no, I'm just kidding. Yes, all multiple choice. And I'm specifically not getting into logistics right now, but I will get into it for that. Something that I did want to discuss that is important for us that we're building, and we're actually probably rebranding and renaming, is the alumni portal. So I'm going to pass it over to Helen to talk about that, because today you go from students to alumni. So Helen, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, great. Yes. Let me share my screen. Here we go. So the alumni portal is another way for you to stay in touch. And let me do it here. So I put the link in the chat, and it's capsacademy.networking. So really, we're actually thinking of renaming it networking, because it's all about staying in touch. It's all about finding job opportunities, sharing job opportunities. So anyway, here you'll get to, when you follow that link, you'll get to this screen, and then you just go in, hopefully. Here we go. And it's my job to be the poster. So I'm not like obsessive. It's just, they're all going to come from me, because that's my little, so here are some examples of what's up there. Regional reentry jobs, project return jobs. So most of these are jobs. I'm not finding, there was a link, there should have been a link. There's a youth art competition for people 24 and younger. So this is what, and then you just, it's like sort of like Facebook, and it'll just bring you, let me do project return. And then I don't want to spend too much time on this, but you just click there, and then it brings you to the career page. And you can go down here and see what's available. Okay, job openings. Now, just so you know, we post things that are statewide because we're a statewide program. But so that's the whole jobs and networking. But we also really, I know I'm seeing in the chat that you're, exchanging emails and phone numbers. So first of all, I want to point out that the student portal will stay open. So that information is in the student portal. And second, just a plug for us, woot woot, your student support also continues after you graduate. So please keep in touch. Anything, immediately you might have problems like, registering for the exam, but anything that comes up, please stay in touch with us. So anyway, this is the student portal, and I'm going to stop my share now. All right.
Thank you so much for that, Helen. And then there's something that we're working on. It's one of those things that we hope you all help us to continue to evolve. And right now it's called the Alumni Portal, but Helen has a great suggestion of maybe considering it more of a CAPS networking portal, right? To bring people back and something to keep us going, both new and old alum alike. So something to keep in mind in there. So thank you for that, Helen. All right. I'm going to jump into the presentation that will touch on a good portion of the questions that you already have, which are solid, by the way. I'm glad that you're all asking and thinking this way, because it definitely is going to help. Okay. So here's part of the reason why we've been making sure that you're on top of your CalMace application is to make sure that you have ample time to go through the process, right? So we'll talk about registration, compare the difference between in-person and online, how to prepare, right? And then maybe share some strategies together. You'll have one last breakout room activity to kind of cover some information using the blueprint. Okay. And then, by the way, this is Carrie's, that's not an emoji, but her virtual self. And so love to have her in the class with us. All right. So this is the big breakdown here. People asked. So there are 120 multiple choice questions, right? 120. You have, each one of them will have A, B, C, D options. Okay. Along with that, something you might want to take a note is that there are 3 levels of difficulty. They're not going to tell you, well, this is easy, medium, or hard, but you'll know right away because the easier questions or the first level difficulty are usually 1 sentence. The middle difficulty are 2 sentences in like that vignette in that scenario. And the most difficult ones are 3 or more. So if you see more information, you're going to see, okay, this is more challenging question. Sometimes it's more basic in terms of terminology. Other times they really want to put you into the scenario. Those 120 questions, unless you request, extended time, which is something we have to complete that form with the doctor, right, for an accommodation, and that is your right. And I only bring that up because if you do think you'll need more extended time in that accommodation form, you will need to get that from CalMesa, submit that to your doctor, get that filled, submit it back to CalMesa before you're able to continue with your application process. Does that make sense for anyone who's maybe considering it? Okay. Now, the timeline, you have 2.5 hours to complete 120 questions. Now, it sounds daunting. And if you look at it, it is pretty consistent. It's about a minute to 90 seconds per question. With that being said, some questions are really simple, right? And Michael might be like, boom, 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 boom. And there are other ones you're like, ooh, maybe I have to come back to this. And so the cool thing about the exam is that you can flag a question and come back to it. And they break it down in half. So for example, the first half of your exam will be questions 1 through 60, and you can flag and do everything you need to do, go back, reassess, maybe change an answer or keep it the same. Once you're done with that half and you go on to the second half, you can't change any of those answers in the questions. Then it goes from 61 to 120. Okay. Yes, Harper.
Is there a different exam for the training to be certified for trainer or whatever? I saw something about training in the Cal Mesa.
You mean like an additional certification?
Yeah.
There are additional certifications that are available beyond this one, but we all start with this one with the medical peer support specialist, and then you can go into specializations, right? And then there's other ones for training institutes like CAPS that we try to do. Yeah, excellent question. And if I don't, and feel free once again to unmute yourself or raise your hand. Now, one of the biggest questions that or decisions that you'll need to make is, hey, am I going to take this in person at a Pearson test site where they take care of everything and they do all of that? Or am I going to do this either at home or at work? It's really personal preference. I'll be honest with you. If you're like, I want to, I think it was a Desiree that was like, I really want to take it as soon as possible. There are more openings taking it online than it is in person, right? With the caveat, and this is really important, that if you decide to take it at home or at work, you are responsible for ensuring that your Wi-Fi connection is solid, that your computer has a capacity to deal with the exam itself. And then 3, that they will make sure they'll have you scan the room. They'll have you make sure that there's no elements of cheating and making sure that it's a private space. And then Renee, if I'm missing anything in the chat, please let me know. Or if it's just them sharing information, keep at it, y'all. Thank you for that. Let me make sure I have. Okay, so here's the other thing too. Along with this, once you take the exam, so let's say I took the exam today, and for whatever reason, I did not pass. CAPS historically has an over 98% passage rate, but it happens, you don't pass. You still have 2 more shots within 12 months and from the first day you took it, right, to go back in there. CAPS does not provide us a fee coverage for retakes. And if I remember correctly, retakes are $150. So something to consider with that, right? And we say that because we know like the economics of life. This is why I love CAPS Academy, because not only is the training covered, but also the application fee and examination fee, because $250 is $250, right? And so as you are networking and thinking about how to prepare, keep that in mind that even if you do not pass, you can definitely have a second shot or a third shot. And something that is important here, Renee, if you wouldn't mind sharing, we had like a really important former alumni. You don't have to give her name or anything, but if you can kind of just to kind of give us a little back that sometimes it takes a little more effort, but it's possible.
Oh, yes, yes. Our lovely, courageous peer one cohort. She came in and disclosed herself, I think it was the first day, right? That she had taken the test 5 times. And she was coming in taking it for her 6th time. And I'm looking at Carlos and Helen thinking I don't know if I could come back after the first time, like, you know, but it was really, really cool to see. I think we tell you it's so exciting to see the magic happen in the classroom where we could see that, I get it, you know, especially, and she'll be okay with me telling this too. The piece that she didn't get was the recovery piece because she didn't have that lived experience with substance use, but she had the lived experience as the mother, right? So I think it was during maybe co-occurring. I wasn't there, but Carlos got to see the magic happen. And it was like, it hit her. I don't have to have an addiction to be in recovery. Recovery is just about being better, right? So she grasped it, man, and just ran. She killed that exam, man. She killed it. And she said she took every different kind of vendor. She's never had it done like CAPS. And that another thing she said, and I'll shut up after this, but she's never had a student support where we actually called up and checked on you after to see how you're doing, or just to check in with you and say, hey, you want to study before, or just to make sure you're scheduled for the damn exam. So anyway, for her to come back and you know, 6 times, man, 6 times. So I hope that gives you hope.
Yeah. So
I'll leave it.
Thank you. No, thank you for that. And that's important to know because once again, test anxiety, we don't always get it right. It happens. Marlon, question or comment, sir?
Okay, I'm kind of backtracking. Some of us, like I know Desiree and I were concerned because I think some of our jobs kind of depend on these credentials. So somebody at my job who went through CAP said that sometimes you got to wait up to 2 weeks to take the exam. So I was wondering, but then he said that if San Marcos, I know you guys are not in this area, you teachers, but San Marcos is near to us in Escondido, so he said that if they don't have a spot, you can just look around the area of San Diego, and there's a couple of places where you can go. But my real question is if like let's say we get all the approvals today, can we take the online test today?
No, being straight up with you,
What?
no. And so once again, and thank you for asking this question, right? And so here's the deal. We are a vendor. CalMesa is the one that dictates the process, right? And what I mean by that, and Marlon, just to kind of answer your question with giving you a little more information, right? And I'm going to answer it, and then you'll see why in a second. So one of the things that is important is that will need a government issued ID regardless of how you take it, right? And please make sure you have this with you. I know in CAPS we have a lot of like, it depends, the gray, right? Standardized testing is black or white. If you're late, you're late. If you leave the building without permission, you're canceled, right? If you don't cancel or reschedule your exam 24 hours in advance or whatever that timeline is, you lose that money, right? And so we all know sometimes in life, some things are black and white, right? And so this is something that's important for you to know. You will need an ID. And I am getting to your question, Martin, believe it or not. Now, the reason why it doesn't happen as fast as you would like, Marlon, is because if you see on the right-hand side and on all of your accounts, you have the steps that you've completed. The furthest anyone has gone to right now is step 3, almost step 4. In order to complete step 4, you need to upload your certificate of completion from CAPS, which you can do today, and then get that first payment code. Then what CalMesa does was like, oh, hey, we received your certificate of completion. Great. Hook us up with the first $100, right? And then you got to pay that fee. And they're like, hey, thanks for the $100. By the way, now we need $150 for the examination fee. So there's give and take here, right? And then those emails are the ones that we use, especially Georgie, to verify like, yeah, Harper, Marlon, they're ready to go. Let's give them their codes so they're not going to waste it, right? Now, the cool thing, Marlon, and Helen and Renee can attest to this, we had such a shit show in the beginning of the year because CalMesa, I can't believe I said it's being recorded, had transformed their systems, and there was just a huge delay in time. They fixed that now, right? And so when I did this, when I was May 2024 cohort, it took me almost 3 weeks just to be able to register. Now we have people doing it like after graduation, as soon as within a week, be able to register, right? So Marlon, if you're on top of it, and for the rest of you as well, if agents of change, you will be able to do it sooner than later. But we'll be honest that there is a back and forth, even though there's only 8 steps. That makes sense, Marlon? Okay, cool. So as we continue through all of this, since we've been doing this, we've talked about the essential documents, your identification, right? As well as your transcripts, your GEDs, anything that's only be accepted is through PDF or JPEG. You need to make sure everything that has a little triangle in red with an exclamation point is filled out. And then this is, Marlon and all of you, what you really want, right? Before you go to step 8 and take the exam, on step 7, CalMesa will then be like, cool, we're good. We're going to pass you on to Pearson. And then Pearson's going to send you this email with this very long HRPSSS number and a link. And then you actually register for the exam on the Pearson website. And that's when you decide, let me type in my address. What are the 3 closest centers to me? Do I want to do that? Or do I just want to do it online? And you can test to see, do I want to take it in the morning, in the afternoon? When do I test best, right? Is it going to be on a Monday? Is it going to be on a Saturday? So on and so forth. Okay. So just to kind of give you an idea of the progress and how it goes in this way. Any questions so far? And then, is this starting to help a little bit to piece together the process? Hopefully. Okay. Thank you for the head nods. Yes, Jasmine, go ahead.
Once you take the test and pass, how soon do you get your actual certification?
Boom, right there. You pass, it tells you pass, no pass. And if you do pass, you are now a certified Medi-Cal peer support specialist. You have your own number. You're now bound by the code of ethics today. And then that's when you're 2-year, and then you have to recertify every 2 years. But that's a whole nother conversation that we'll throw out on the alumni portal. Excellent question, Jasmine. So yeah, this is why we cover the importance of all of this as we go through. I want to make sure that I take a moment to remind anyone, if you're considering, hey, I may need extended time, right? It's better to have the accommodation and not need it than to need it and not have it. Something for you to consider. Just remember that if you are considering it, communicate with your supporter, get this form from CalMesa, to your doctor, get it completed, and then get it submitted so that way you're good to go. Okay. Something to keep in mind. All right. And then, Jasmine, did you have another question, or was that from last time? That's from last time. Okay, cool. No worries. So, reiterating the most important parts, reading all the information, making sure that you are there early, know where you're going. Remember, like, tardiness will not be allowed. If for whatever reason you need to reschedule, right, or cancel, you need to do it 48 hours before your test date. The time is a little bit different or shorter. I think if it's online, I think it's 24 hours. And this is just something to keep in mind, that we want to avoid you losing that money. And that's really, really, really what it comes down to. Okay. Sure. Oh, okay. So this is what we're going to do next. Instead of to continue talking about what this is all about, in the chat, I'm going, and you have this, it's in the student portal, we've shared it with you, but just for the sake of time, I'm going to share with you the official test prep guide again, so you have it, because you're going to need it right now in your breakout room activity. Okay, it's in the chat, and as it's loading, I'll explain what we're going to do next. Okay, there's going to be 8 breakout rooms, and these breakout rooms are going to ask you to focus on one category of the exam. And the reason let me make sure I have this. Okay, there you go. And so that way, right now, you have time together to kind of just review this information and see where you're at. Okay. Now, I'm the kind of person, and I highly encourage everyone to do so, I like to read everything cover to cover when it comes to this, especially because it helps to reduce some of that, like, test anxiety Desiree was talking about. And so starting on page 10 of this document that we have is what's called the blueprint. And what it does, it breaks down the whole exam, 120 questions, into literally four pages or 3 pages. So it's going to go into these 8 sections. The first one is administrative responsibilities. Second one is behavioral health foundations. And notice how it's telling you the percentage of questions that will be on there based on category, right? They literally tell you. And then it goes into interpersonal skills. This is why with CAPS Academy, the give and take, the dialogue is so important, because it is an important part of being a peer support specialist. The fourth one was recovery support, accessing all of those services. Fifth one is advocacy, which we've talked a lot about. And then the 6th one then goes into community inclusion. And the last 2 are resource linkage and crisis management. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do next, you're going to be put into breakout rooms, and your breakout rooms are going to be labeled based on one of those 8 categories. Now, the one thing that I'm going to ask you to do is to start going through these questions together. And you're going to notice that at the bottom of this document, if you haven't done so already, starting on page 24, and excuse me, this hurts your eyes because it hurts mine as well. Starting on page 24, we have mock questions based by category. So if you're in room 1, you're going to focus on the questions about administrative responsibilities, and take a moment to go through it. And you'll notice that the answer key is on the bottom. Please focus on the question first before going to the answer key, and then talk about it, and then see if you are able together to get the appropriate answer, and then why or why not. And then we're going to come back together and kind of talk a little bit about how that was. Okay. I want to make sure I'm clear. Can someone let us know, what are we going to do next in our breakout room activities?
We're going to test each other with the questions.
Desiree, I wish I could have hired you, because I said that in 2 minutes and you said it in 2 seconds. So, so at this point, we're all back now. All right, some thoughts. Thumbs up. Was that helpful to have some time? Thumbs down. You're like, oh my God, it's horrible in the middle. And then,
I failed.
I don't see.
I already failed.
What do you mean, Harper? What do you mean?
I
Elaborate,
had
please.
got a couple of the questions wrong. They were a little tricky. They were tricky. So I definitely gonna have to go through all those questions and do the prep, and yeah, they had me tricked me a little bit.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Very much.
You got to
so.
really
Tricky.
pay attention.
Yes, to detail.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why we refer you back to the blueprint. Vocabulary is very, very important. Very, very, very important in there, right? And I'll add a little bit more. Thank you, Harper. Jason, what do you have?
Yeah,
Yes,
so
my
when
man.
we were going through the questions, one thing like I seen and I pointed out to the ladies I was in group with, like the wording of the questions, like when they word it for collaboration with the peer, with the person we're working with. So like when the answers are like, we don't do it for them, we do it with them, and that's usually leads us to the right answer.
Yeah, definitely, right? And then Helen threw in there the PICS acronym, right? Being person-centered, inclusive, collaborative, Jason, to your point, and strengths-based. So yeah, all of that has something to do with it. Jasmine, what do you have?
We were talking like, how many questions can we miss?
Ooh, good question. So Cal Mesa does not have like an official, hey, this is how much you need to pass. It is pass, no pass. So if you go old school and look at 75%, 70% to pass, right? I would say, you know, I missed a few as well. You don't have to be perfect, right? How many exactly? We don't know. They keep that locked in there. But definitely think about 75% as a passing rate, right? And they do look at all of your categories, by the way. So for example, like, let's say you did really well on admin responsibilities, behavioral health, so on and so forth, but like you bombed crisis management and you got 10%. That would also be taken into consideration of whether or not you pass or do not pass. And I wish I had more clarity, but they do it on purpose. We've tried, but we can't get that information. Any other questions or comments?
I had a friend that that recently just took it. I don't know if she went through CCAPS or whatnot. And, so we were having a conversation. She was like, "So are you nervous? Like, how do you feel about going into this?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I got like a little test anxiety." And she was like, "Well, you know what I had to do? So you just have to think, like, she was like, just the whole time you're in there, just think." Like what you just told us, just advocacy. Just think like you're advocate. And she was like, long as you keep your mindset in the mindset of what you will be doing to help the person. She was like, you kind of like a breeze through it. But she was like, the question, I'm like, so what was the hardest question for you? And she was like, I stumbled upon the question where it asked if can I take my client to the doctor? And I was like, what? She was like,
and it varies per person, right? It varies per person.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. And she was like, but she ended up passing. She's principal certified.
So
I was like, okay.
So yeah, it varies. Some of what's category can be easy
so just think
or harder. Exactly.
I'm helping.
So here's the thing. Last part. Thank you for that, Carter. So some friendly reminders, and then we're gonna take our break. So one, in terms of now and whenever you do take your exam, review the information little by little. It's called spaced repetition. Just a few, right? Review, collaborate together. You have your information, support one another, review your CAPS work. You have access to your student portal. We don't lock you out for that reason. I've heard of people just putting their recordings on and cooking. Some people say they actually put them on and they help them fall asleep. I don't know. Get a study buddy. Use flashcards. There's Quizlet. Quizlet is a great place for this, these digital flashcards, right? And then there are some also additional free test prep webinars that you can find online as well. So whatever helps you get in the groove, that's ultimately what matters. And at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to pause it here or end it.
Just one quick thing, that when we were in our group and we were doing the practice questions, we got all three right. But the way I kind of approached it, when I listened to the question and the answer, if we were talking about community involvement, if the answer dealt with community involvement, that kind of steered me in the right direction, because if I'm outside of that box, then I'm not even addressing what it is that I'm supposed to address.
That's a good point, Eddie. And for the record, this practice activity was meant to like kind of break it up on the exam. It's not going to say administrative responsibilities, questions 1 to 10, right? They're going to be mixed up, but so you can see the type of questions that are asked in those categories. So when you see that, you can kind of compare and contrast. That's the idea.
Right, because if the question is talking about community involvement, then if the answers don't even go nowhere near that, then that doesn't even make sense, because you have to be on the same sheet of music with the question.
Exactly. Bingo.
Okay.
Bingo, Eddie. Thank you. And that point, let's All right, so this is part 2. And so we're talking about recordings. This will be also up on the student portal for you to look at or you can listen to as well. We are honored, that people have taken the time to come back and just kind of share with you things that have helped them, their experiences. And so what I'd like to do is start off and just kind of introduce, make sure everyone who is here for the panel is good to go. So I'm gonna start off with Edie. Edie, if you can just say hello, share anything you'd like about yourself real quick, please introduce yourself.
Sure. Hello. My name is Edie. Ooh, right, there I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna look at myself. Yeah, I just I'm from the last cohort. And I took my exam on January 21st and cleared the exam. Woo. And I heard someone when I came on saying, "Oh, alumni is here." Like, I'm scared, I'm leaving. Don't be scared. We're just
That
like
was
you.
that was me.
I
That
love
was
it.
me.
Don't be scared, Carter. But Carter, you're saying all kinds of cool things. So I'm gonna tap back into that when we go. So
Okay.
nice to meet you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Edie. Up next, we have Michaela. Michaela.
Hey everyone, I'm Michaela. I did the CAPS cohort in June of last year, I believe. And it's good to see everyone. Congratulations on your last day.
So thank you for that. And next we have Lisa. Lisa, where is
Hi,
Lisa? There you are.
everybody. My name is Lisa Cardenas, and I can now say I'm a peer specialist. I don't remember when I took the cohort. I think it was last year. But I'm excited to be back.
Thank you for coming back. We love having you as well, Lisa. I want to see, is Ashlyn in the house? Just want to confirm. Ashlyn, going once, going twice. All right. What about Rachel? Is Rachel in the house? Once, going twice. Okay. And last but not least, you all know her. I'm gonna let her introduce herself. Helen is also on her panel. Helen, anything you'd like to share, Helen?
I just passed it 2 weeks ago, which is kind of funny because I've been teaching it over a year, but I can tell you about that adventure.
Excellent. So thank you all for being here. So the way this is going to work, by the way, for you alumni or the alumnus, this cohort, their given name or their chosen name is Agents of Change. So for the Agents of Change in the house, right, which Renee and Helen and I love, we have some questions that we're going to ask our alumni, and then we're going to open it up to you. So first and foremost, I'm going to start off with, let's start off with you, Lisa. Okay, so Lisa, what motivated you to complete the CalMesa examination registration process and take the exam to actually become certified as a peer support specialist?
Well, I've been in this field for a very, very long time. I think like now 20 years. So for us, it was never mandatory to take the test. But when this new job, it was mandatory. So I'm like, okay, what the heck is this? Let me check it out. Dealing with it with 2 years, taking it, I'm gonna just put myself out there. I took it 6 times before I even passed it. But the one that really counted was with this cohort. I was trained well. I was not left alone. They stuck by me, and it just motivated me to think, I'm going to do this. I'm 62 years old, going on 63. I'm going to do this. I'm going to complete it. That was my goal. So that's what really motivated me to keep going, is to complete it at my age, thinking that I could never do it.
Thank you for that honesty, Lisa, and congratulations once again. Loving it. Michaela, what about you? What motivated you to get through that whole process and become certified?
Okay, so I'm gonna try to make a long story short, but I work at Project Return, and I worked at Project Return as a communications person, and I didn't really know about peer support, but like just seeing and being a observer and like the communities that they were able to foster in the recovery that was happening, and just looking at it from the outside and like seeing myself and so many of the members, I was like, I want to do that. Like, I want to dive more into what peer support is. So my supervisor allowed me to take the CAPS training, and from there to now, like I did pass the test. And it's honestly like been an integral part of my life, and helped me really a lot to like just know where I'm at and also help others. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Michaela. Edie, same question to you. What motivated you to get through the whole process and knock it down and become certified?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So my background was working with survivors of violence in the nonprofit sector. So a lot of this, it felt like home to me, this training with you all. But I'll go back and say I left nonprofit to start my own coaching practice. And in that time, I was running some self-care workshops where I met a woman who worked at MHLA, and we became good friends. And she actually shared the training with me when it became available, and she gently nudged me. And it was funny because in preparing for this, I had asked her, so why did you invite me to do the training? And she was very sweet. She's like, we're gonna have to sit and have lunch, but she texted me back. She's like, you have been a peer to me since day one. And I just was so touched, and we have the best conversations. And we really want to give back to the community all the things that we've learned, because she's also now working as a coach and doing her own thing. So when I took the training with you all, I was like, yes, this is everything that's already inside of me and some. And I was not going to miss the opportunity to, become completely certified in the process, because it's a part of my core values.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Edie. And then last but not least, Helen, break it down for us. Why did you do it? Who made you do it?
Okay.
Just kidding.
Well, number one, I think, to avoid the embarrassment of teaching something I haven't done myself. I mean, I'm a big believer in, like, we need to do what we ask other people to do. And also, I love this field. I took a training called Jumpstart about 15 years ago that really changed my life. It was my introduction to the recovery model. It explained a lot about my childhood and me, and it also showed how I could support other peers. So mostly, and and it was a little test, like, if you're teaching something and then you take the official test about it, you can really confirm if you're on the right track. So anyway, all those things, but mostly because I had to.
I love the honesty once again, right? Keeping it real. All right, we're going to move on to the next question. So the next question is, once again, on the real train here. Did the training that you received through CAPS Academy prepare you for the exam? Or was it more based on your own professional and personal experience? And I'm actually going to come back and start it off with Edie. Edie, if you wouldn't mind going off first here. Did CAPS help prepare you, or was it just more on you?
Yeah, I mean, CAPS absolutely helped prepare me. And I mean, so I went to school to study human development when I was 35. It took me that long to graduate from college, so, which is okay. Yay, I did it. So human development, it was like everything I'm learning in CAPS and all my lived experience and all the work I did for when I supported survivors of domestic violence. I was like, oh, this is all fitting in beautifully. So it was an accumulation of everything. And I don't think I would have ever been able to pass maybe as well as I did and feel as confident as I did without doing this training. That's for sure. I would recommend it to anyone.
Thank you for that, Edie. All right, Michaela, break it down. I know you're project return staff, but did CAPS do anything for you or not? Keep it real.
Honestly, yes, because before taking CAPS, I didn't know the 5 factors. I didn't know the things that we had to learn. I just knew what peer support looked like from an observer, as I mentioned. So I did CAPS. I honestly didn't I don't know, everyone's study style is different, but I honestly didn't really study. I didn't have time to. And I just took the test right after the training was over, and I passed. So in that, I think that's already a testament that CAPS does work, and CAPS told me everything I needed to know, because didn't know much before, took the class, took the test, and it was good.
Thank you for that, Michaela. Lisa, same question to you. What did CAPS do for you?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna piggyback on both of those girls that just said what they said, but I'll just say it again. Like I said, I've been doing this for 20 years. So I've been helping others, doing the same thing that we were taught in this training. And take some notes, because this is what you need to learn. If you know this, then you're going to pass the test and you're going to do great. So picks? Is it person-centered? We do person-centered on our families. I work with the caregivers and teaching them how to, you know, on parenting skills. So is it person-centered? Are they doing it on their own? And then inclusion, are you including them with or without them? We can't do anything without them. We can only do it with them. So collaboration, are we collaborating with them with their own goals? What are their goals? Strength base, use their strengths on what they have. Use your strengths on taking this test. Also, are you empowering them? Are you empowering yourself on this training? CAPS have showed me everything I needed to know. I didn't have any, I didn't think anything of me that I could do it. But when I started to be hanging around with my cohort, my trainers, like I said, they didn't leave me alone. Helen, Renee, Carlos, they didn't leave me alone. So with them, it empowered me to do more and to do this test. And I passed it. I didn't really think I walked out of there like in shock, but it showed me everything that I needed to do. And this training is the best. So if you paid attention in the training, you're going to do good. And then last but not least, the music that Renee puts on. Under pressure was my one thing that I wrote on my whiteboard. I was under pressure. I was under pressure. Renee knows me well. I was under pressure. But like I said, this training, I think about it all the time, and I cannot stop talking about it and telling people they need to do this test or this training with Carlos, Helen, and Renee.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
Yes.
Speaking of Helen, so Helen, was CAPS enough, or did you go on the sly and go train with somebody else that we didn't know about?
Yeah, that's right. What do you think I'm going to say, Carlos? No. No, CAPS was great. And, I really had an advantage because part of, before I was teaching, I was the class supporter. So I would be online, just like monitoring the chat or whatever. So I had sort of the benefit of hearing this material over and over. So that just really helped. And what CAPS did, because I came in with almost 15 years experience, like in the field, it just really organized the thought. It sort of helped define what you're doing. Like you kind of know what you're doing, and when you're in the middle of it, you're not really thinking. But CAPS helped me sort of name what I was doing and keep within the professional bounds, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you for that, Helen. All right, Edie, I'm going to start off with you. Next question is, how did you deal with the stress, both for preparing for the exam and just anything that was going on with your life at that time? How were you able to navigate that prior to the exam?
Yeah, I think the last year before even joining CAPS, I was already starting to implement a lot healthier behaviors, really checking in with myself daily. So I made sure that's been very helpful for me, and I made sure to do that. Like the other panelists, I feel like I had so much time in between because I think we finished in November and my test was January 21st. And I'm like, I'm going to give myself this time. And I did. I went back. For me, I read The Road to Recovery, which doesn't feel like homework. It feels like such a beautiful, rich story to embody, because this is the way I want to show up in the world for everyone. So it wasn't even like studying, but and I think that helps when it's like, this isn't studying because this is actually a piece of who I am. So that was nice, right? And I just try to just stay very present because I can, I was really diagnosed with OCD, so I don't say this lightly, but I will start looping like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. I need to do more. But I really just try to stay present. And I'm like, this is what I can do today. And it's okay. And it was okay because I passed. So being present and being kind with myself, I really incorporated those to get through the big test.
Thank you for those beautiful reminders, Edie. Definitely. Same question to you, Michaela. How did you deal with the stress of preparing? I know you mentioned you didn't study, but anything going on with life, so on and so forth. Go on.
Yeah, so I will say I didn't really have time to study, but I took the test like a week after we finished CAP. So I had it fresh in my brain at the time. So I feel like if I took it a little bit later, I probably would have needed to study. But the stress, I was really nervous. But talking to Carlos, talking to Helen, who was my student supporter, and just giving me that ease in the test, I was nervous, but the information was in my brain. So like as I'm going through, just like trying to breathe through, I do a lot of yoga meditation. So like just trying to ground myself prior to the test coming. It helped a little bit. Yeah.
All right. Lisa, same question for you. How did you manage with the stress of preparing for the exam and anything else that came up?
Well, at the time I had a lot of things going on, personal things going on, but you know, I tried to like focus on me because I knew that this was important for me to do. And so I did that. I tried to like block things out and I set boundaries on myself and I was able to, yes, I studied, because I'm an older person and I forget things. I forgot what I did yesterday, but I had to like write notes down. I had to do a lot of study on different internet searches. I had to do all that, but you know what? The main thing was setting boundaries and learning how to do for me. What did I want? And this was what I want. I wanted it bad. And so that's what I did.
Well said, Lisa. Thank you. Helen, same question for you. How did you manage all that stress and all that jazz?
Well, I tried not to think about the fact that how embarrassing it would be if I did not pass it. So I lived what we talk. I mean, I hear Carlos Renee and myself say, look, CAPS has this great, this 98% passage rate. We have the material. It's well organized. You have the exam prep guide. I read that, cover to cover slowly, even though I've read, I've done that before. And just believe, what's in our guidelines, trust the process. So I trusted the process and it worked out well.
Helen, I'm going to stay with you. So did you encounter any technical issues in the application process, and then, did you take it in person or online? And if you could talk a little more about that as well, please.
Sure. So you may remember from class, I'm not the tech expert, so I definitely knew I was going to take it in person. There was no question. So in the application, I had a lot of frustration. So it actually took me it took nearly 3 months from the time I first started my account to when I actually took the exam. And 3 weeks of that was just me waiting for a convenient date because I didn't want to go to Orange County, for an 8 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, so what happened is I did everything right. Everything was confirmed right, like all my ID, my diploma, all of that. And I kept getting back that you're missing this. And then I kept, emailing screenshots saying, well, here it is on your website. So I did encounter that a little bit. And I would say that just being really clear where you are, knowing what you have, knowing what you need, knowing that you've completed it the correct way. And so there were quite a few emails back and forth. And then I had something that some of my students encountered, which was even when it was right, they would say everything is right. CalMesa would email me, everything is correct, and wait to hear from us. And that sometimes would take a week or two. So I'm not here to put a blanket on things, but to let you know that sometimes it can take a little while. But you always email them, call them, and talk to your student supporter if there's an issue.
Thank you so much for that, Helen. Edie, how about you? Did you encounter any issues throughout the application process, and did you take it in person, online, etc.?
Yeah, I took it in person. I echo everything Helen said. Didn't want to go through the whole setup of trying to do it at home. And then if something went wrong on my end, then I forfeit that money. I'm like, this isn't worth it. I'm just going to drive to a location and do it. But yes, I had the thwarted expectation. I thought once I was done and graduated from your program, I would just be able to take it at my convenience. And I really wanted to finish it before the new year. So I was like, this is taking so long. So that was a surprise. So if anyone has a goal date, jump on it as soon as possible because you just don't know. So that was my biggest surprise. And when I got there to take it in person, they really do all that kind of stuff where they make you put up your hair, make sure you're not hiding anything, taking everything out of your pockets. I've heard some people even had to take off their shoes. So be prepared for all of that as well.
Thank you for that, Edie. All right. Michaela, how about you? Did you encounter, I know you said you took it within a week. Any issues in the application? Anything to come up with? And did you take it in person or online?
Yeah, so so I was raised in the time of the internet. It's like I was born in the year 2000. So and also I went to school during COVID too. So I am used to the computer and I didn't want to wait because the in-person dates were really far ahead. But when you did it, when I booked for online, there was as soon as the next day. So I was like, okay, we're doing it online. Yeah, so I did that. I would say the issue first, I would say I checked at home and I was planning to take the test in the office where I worked. So I checked at home my internet, everything's cool, everything's set up. Then the day of, I arrived to the office early, at least 30 to 45 minutes to double check because I've heard some people had issues with cookies or whatever else. So me getting there early was good because the internet, I had to change something in my computer settings to allow the internet to be approved because they make you approve your internet connectivity beforehand, and then they do make you the same way that they're saying that the in Proctor in person they make you clear off stuff. I have a dual monitor system, had to get the dual monitor off my desk just in case to put it on the floor, clear my space. They didn't want to see anything. The Proctor will you could get on early and they will check your space for you to make sure that it's approved. So the same way that you do that in person, you online it just makes need to make sure it's good because the whole time when you're taking the test you're being you're on camera and there's a proctor there. So yeah, it's kind of similar to that in-person aspect, but if you're savvy with the internet, I would recommend the online because you could get your tests done really fast. I didn't want to take it the next day, but a week I was like, okay, I can prepare myself mentally.
Good. Michaela. And then Lisa, same thing for you. Any issues throughout the application? And did you take it in person, online, so on and so forth?
So I didn't have any problems with the application, but mind you, I had been doing this for quite a while, 2 years, to finally decide that I was going to take this cohort and complete it. I did take it in person, and I had the same issue with Michaela, them wanting you to clear your desk out and everything. And so after I went through that, I was like, okay, forget it. I'm doing this and going inside to take it in their facility, which is a lot easier. Yeah, they do check your hair and they check everything for you, but it's just much easier because you're using their computer and you do have people watching you. That's just the nervous part of it. But if you can just kind of back, kind of block it out and just relax and do it, and your stuff, you'll get it done. It's just a lot easier for me. It was a lot easier for me to take it in person.
And at least I'm actually going to stay with you for the next question. So now getting to the actual day of the exam, do you remember if there were any questions that were challenging, anything that stood out that you may want to point out about the actual exam process the day of?
Well, I really studied the picks. I really stuck with the picks. I was nervous, but I did exactly what I was told to do. I was told to get up, have a good night's sleep, have a good breakfast, kind of relax. My test, I put it at 1 o'clock. So I had the morning to relax, to study. I went at 2. I was relaxed. And yeah, so I think that's what helped me was not trying not to be nervous and being confident about myself. Knowing that I could go in there and I can do this and get it done. And taking it right away after the cohort, because the longer I waited, the last time I waited a long time and it didn't go well. So this time I waited I think within 2-3 weeks, I was able to take it and pass it.
Thank you for that, Lisa.
Yes.
All right, same question for you, Edie. Anything that stood out for you on the day of the exam? How was the whole process for you? So on and so forth.
Yeah. I get really anxious the first, I don't know, the 3 days coming up. So I think I did cramming, maybe what you can call. So, and really chaotic cramming where I'm just online looking for all these questions that I could maybe be on the test, and I'm looking through, whatever it is I can find. So I don't know how productive it was, but I was just go question after question. So one thing I don't know why I didn't do this because I know better, but I didn't bring a snack, I didn't bring water, and I didn't take a break. That was ridiculous. So I had been, I also did a 2:30 test time so that I would have the morning and make sure I ate well and rested and all that. So that was good. And so when I was taking the test and I decided not to take the break and keep going for it, I was pretty fatigued, and I wish I would have brought a banana or some nuts and some water, take my break, and just kind of refresh for the next part. Because I was done after that test. And I felt like that could have been preventable. So, yeah.
So thank you for that reflection as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
Michaela, what about you? Anything that stood out for you from the exam and then from the whole process, the day of?
Yes, I'm trying to think back because I don't remember the questions. Kind of took it quite a little while ago, but I do remember like almost every section, like because this test is like kind of like staggered. So like if you get like some wrong in one category, it doesn't matter if you get better in another category. Like you could still pass that way. And like for me, it was pretty high throughout all the categories except for one because I think what did help is the fact that I work in peer support already and had that back knowledge. But like one thing we don't really from Project Return, I never really had any knowledge of like referrals and like system navigation stuff that we did talk about in class, but like I just didn't really pay like I paid attention, but like it didn't stick in my brain because I didn't see it at my company. So like in that category, it was like a 60%, which is not bad. It was still okay. And I substituted it for another section. But like I would say for me, honestly, just study the things that you think you don't know, or like in your work or whatever you want to do. I think a good takeaway for myself, if I were to take it again, would be the areas that I'm most confident, be confident, but then the areas that you're like, I've never seen this, I never had to do it, study those parts harder because you may get confused when you're taking the test because you don't know how that process works.
Keeping it real. Thank you, Michaela. Helen, what about you? Anything that was a challenge on the day of the exam? Anything that comes to mind?
Okay, so the day of the exam, what I would say, a tip before that is to pay really careful attention to the testing site information. So these are a few things that could have thrown me off, except for I read like every line very carefully. So the parking structure address, like many businesses, was different than the site address, right? So I had to put the parking structure in my GPS, and it was literally next door, but it was next door to like 3 business buildings. So I had to allot enough time to figure out which of those buildings it was. The also thing that could have thrown me off was I went to Culver City and I had to pay $15 for parking. So something like if I didn't have a card or money for that, let's see, what was I going to say? So what helped, Renee talked about doing this, is writing, they give you a whiteboard. So I did take it in person. They give you a whiteboard and I wrote down picks. And then I also wrote, promotes growth and learning. Just, I would say go really slow when you're reading the instructions. Like, it's only 2 paragraphs and you're like, yeah, I got that. So really take a breath, pay attention to everything they say. And the other thing I did is I kept track of my time because I wasn't sure. So I used the whiteboard for that because there were 60 questions and then there's a break and there's another 60 questions. And just the numbers seemed so big of how long it would take and how many questions there were. I was like, I kind of want to gauge myself where I am so I don't panic. So those are what I did.
Thank you. And so I'm going to start. Michaela, any knowing what you know now, being through CAPS, going through the exam and continuing, any advice that you'd like to share with the current cohort?
Yeah, so I would say for advice, I think I psyched myself out like way too much. And I think we all like know ourselves and like know what you know. And like if I were to go back again, like I think that my anxiety, like I was anxious for like a little bit no reason. Like I knew the information was there. Yet I like in studying, I know I told you guys I didn't say it a lot, but like there's like little Quizlets online and like they give you the little worksheet of like how many said like things like that. I did look over that and like there's some cool stuff on Quizlet. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that, but like it's like little flashcards that you could look at that have people that have taken the test already that they could like that they made the questions like kind of exactly how the questions were on the test to be real. Like, okay, the answer is this, like, and in my brain, like I was just like, oh wait, that like read through some of the words, like I think it was one word. I don't remember what the word was, but I didn't know what it meant. And like we went over the word in class and I couldn't, my brain just couldn't function. And I asked the proctor, like, can I have the definition of this question? And they were like, no. But that's really like just having confidence in yourself, reviewing the like just those sheets that they give, that like the study guide, like they give you the answers. So like don't be anxious. Well, we're gonna be anxious, but like for myself, I think the advice is just like breathe through it, be confident. You know what you know. You know what you don't know. What you don't know is what you gotta study.
Thank you so much for that, Michaela. Lisa, same question to you. What advice would you give based on your overall experience to the current cohort, please?
Sorry, I had my had my microphone up. The advice that I would give to everybody is to remember picks, and then also to know that in every question, 2 questions are wrong. They're absolutely wrong. So when you know that they're absolutely wrong, then you focus on the other 2, and then either one of those are the correct one. But always remember picks. If you're not empowering the person to, if the question is not empowering, has no strengths or collaborating or person-centered, then that has nothing to do with that. But just know, have confidence, if you're one that forgets things like me and has to study, then study. But other than that, like Michaela, I know she's, I envy her because she's like really young and she doesn't have to like the brain that we have or I have. So yeah, of course she didn't have to study, but I wish I was like her, but we do, we do. But just know that you are the best. You can do it. You can, move mountains and only you. So just remember that you can do this. If we could do it, Helen did it. You can do it too. And we need people like you. So go out there and go pass this test and go out there and do your job.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that,
Yeah.
Lisa. I'm going to pass it out to Edie. Edie, any advice you'd like to share based on your experience now with the cohort?
Yeah, I was really digging some of the stuff, like I mentioned earlier, that Carter was saying. So I think Carter said like we should make a Zoom link so that we can practice some of this stuff together. Yes, Carter. And yes, I think that's a great idea. And then I don't know if I heard this correctly, but I think he also spoke to putting notes in his phone and then having it speak. So like when you're driving or something, you can listen to it. For my brain, I can read something all day, but I don't know what I'm reading. I get stuck, I get lost. So I have to listen to things. And so that's been a very useful way for me to study. So I really recommend everything Carter said about that. On top of that, bring snacks, take your break if you do it in person. And best of luck to you all. Y'all got this.
Thank you for that, Edie. Helen, same question for you. Final advice based on your experiences to the current cohort.
Okay, yeah, I think it's we all tie in together, but I would say, be prepared, but don't stress because you are prepared. If you've been engaged in class and done your homework and understood, then you've got this material. One thing I did is I did read the blueprint, which describes what you need to do, and I'd be like, okay, got that. Also the practice questions, I'm gonna, confirm what Lisa said, that some are obviously wrong and some are kind of obviously right. So words are important. So use words with what your goal is. And the goal that I always tell all my students is the rationale. So when you go through the practice questions and then the key, the rationale tells you why. And if you know that rationale, you can apply it to anything. So I think that's really helpful. And yeah, just know if you have questions, speak up. Your student support is is valid, after graduation. And just know that you've got this. I mean, we have a really high passage rate, and the reason is this is really well thought out and planned. So you're prepared.
Great. Thank you for that, Helen. Michaela, did you have something else to add, or is
Just
that?
really quick. Yeah, I just wanted to
Please do.
say, because Edie was talking about like doing a Zoom chat. My cohort, we were called the Hope Dealers. I really like our name, so I'm gonna share what that it was called. But like we have a group chat still, like a text group chat, and like as people would pass or take the test, like they would share like, oh, this was hard, like this section was hard, and like that collaboration too, like kind of helped us to like know like where we were at together. So like I just wanted to echo that and like collaborate and like talk to each other after the cohort ends, like be friends, be peers. Yeah.
And Michaela, if I may ask, like, are you still in contact with some people from your cohort? Like, is that still something that's happening
The
after
group
all of
chat
this?
still
Okay.
like the group chat is still kind of active. Like people say Merry Christmas. Like if somebody gets a job, they still send it out. If they're looking for a job, some people will be like, is there a company hiring? So like we do still like not every day, but like the group chat's still there. It's still active, and like when people want to talk in it, they do.
Okay. Perfect. And then, what about you, Lisa? Are you in contact with anyone from your cohort? Just out of curiosity.
Actually, I only was in contact with like 2 people from the cohort. This was like just letting me know that they passed their test, but we didn't have that. I think that would have been, pretty neat to like still keep in contact, but I don't think anybody really wanted to afterwards, which was kind of sad. But I think yeah, we should have done that.
Appreciate those reflective thoughts as well. Edie, what about you? Are you still in contact with anyone from your cohort?
I am. And as soon as this is done, I'm going to text them and let them know what I just did. So great.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. And then Helen, I hope you're still in contact with your cohort, your instructors.
I am. Yes. Every day.
All right. Yeah. At this point, we're going to flip it back to all of you, agents of change. Any questions that you have, anything that you would like to ask our alumni, speak now or forever hold your peace, please. They do accept Cash App, Starbucks gift cards, Zelle. Just kidding.
Okay, cute.
Would anyone like to start off asking a question? I'm missing chat. Okay.
For Michaela, I think you're the one that did it online. How long did it take you to finish the test?
It was a couple hours. I think it's the same. Like they give you a timeline of like 2 hours, but I finished a little bit early. But you have like a few hour window. I kind of breezed through. Like each question maybe took me like a minute if I spend time. But I think 120 questions. Am I wrong?
120.
Yeah. So like, just however you could go at your own pace. You don't have to stay on like how you probably would in person. But it took me like probably about 2 hours.
Other questions. Otras preguntas.
Don't be scared. You guys are all gonna do great.
See, you're not sharing information. Go ahead.
Carlos, can I
Yes,
jump in?
please do.
So one thing we talked about is like, what did you do for self-care after the exam? So I was in Culver City because I lived halfway between Culver City and Cypress, which were the closest to me. Anyway, so I finished it and I did a Yelp search for best Mexican restaurant near me. I went and had a like yummy slow meal all by myself. It was great.
Thank you for that, Helen, because that was gonna be my last question. So Helen segue to the last one. So you know what she did. Lisa, how did you celebrate?
Me too. I went to a Mexican restaurant after I passed my test, in the evening with my family. Yeah, and I still celebrate because, it's hard and it's not, I would say not hard in a way where it's like you have to just keep on going, and my passion is to help others, and so that's why I keep going and doing this job. I love it.
Thank you for celebrating and sharing that celebration. Michaela, how did you celebrate after you finished your exam? I
I
remember.
should have went to go get some tacos. That sounds really good. But I got a matcha on the way home. I left work early because I had woke up really early to take the test. Like I think I set it for like 8 a.m. Well, it's like at 8 a.m. So I was like, I'm sleepy. I'm going home. I took some rest, and on the way home I got a matcha.
Nice. Done. Last but not least, Edie, how did you celebrate?
Korean barbecue.
All right.
Delish.
Oh, look at that. Well done. All the food, the little things that help. Yes, now my stomach is communicating. All right, Harper, you're up. I think you have your hand up.
Yeah, so we find out how quick after we take the test, we find out we passed or failed.
As soon as you press the button.
Oh, like that?
Like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Go AI.
Go away. Yeah. Yes, you find out as soon as you press complete, boom, it tells you right there. And then you get your score results on those bandwidths as well.
Just don't scream because, there's other people in the room taking the test, so you can't scream for joy. That's what I wanted to do, but it shocked me. I was like,
Yeah.
I had to look at it twice.
If you do virtual, you can scream all you want.
Yeah,
Look at that.
that's true.
Pros and cons, y'all. Y'all can see pros and cons. Definitely. But yes, it's something that we definitely encourage y'all to start thinking about because you've put in the time, the commitment, and celebrating your success is really important, whether with food, with rest, whether with shouting, whatever it may be, dancing as
The
well.
first person I called was Renee right after I passed my test.
It's awesome.
And
Yeah.
you scared me. She was so quiet. I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? It was beautiful.
Definitely. And that, yeah, and so this is a friendly plug. We'd love to know kind of how things are going, and we love that you're sharing the information in the chat. But please check in with your student supporters as well. If you have any anxiety or you're prepping, you're like, I have my day, all this jazz. It's really helpful for us to know so we can kind of keep you in mind, but also celebrate with you as well. Yeah. At this point, I'm gonna see if anyone has any final thoughts to share. If no one else from the Ages of Change has questions, any final thoughts before we move on?
I think I have one.
All right, Carter.
So for all of you guys, as far as like support go, did you guys have like a lot of support from like family and friends? I know like at the end, like when you completed it and you kind of like told everybody you completed it, a lot of it came then, but how was your support system during like the cohort and like during the whole like practicing for the exam and stuff like that?
Oh, excellent question, Carter. I'm gonna start with you, Edie. It's okay. Support, how was it for you?
Yeah, thank goodness. Yes. I felt very supported throughout the process, and I think that makes a big difference. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. What about you, Helen? Did you feel supported throughout the process?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys know Renee and Carlos, so of course there was wonderful support there. Yeah, but I did just I felt it. I felt the confidence and I felt the best wishes. So that really helped.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Michaela, how was support for you?
This is a little bit of a hard question for me. But I felt a lot of support at work. In my personal life, I did as well. My mom had texted me like that day, like a long paragraph, like, we're gonna go out to eat, but like, not to be sad with you guys, but like, she did pass away of cancer, like, before we could go out to celebrate because she couldn't eat some foods. But like, my family was like super duper like happy. We were planning to do something, but like, we couldn't. But definitely like Carlos, Helen, everyone that was in the class was like really helpful.
Thank you for that, Michaela. Appreciate it. And then last but not least, Lisa, how was the support for you as you took it this round?
I was very supportive with my family, especially you, Renee, and Helen. My dad passed away years ago. I talked to you guys about that. He came to me that morning, and that was weird because it was like he had never came to me. So I felt the support with him as well. And so I just knew that my family knew that it was really, really important to me. And I think the people that know that it's really important to you are the most supportive people. Um, and I can't say enough, Helen, Carlos, Renee, like you guys have all been you guys were the best supporters in my process. So yeah, I really think you guys a lot.
Thank you for that, Lisa. And it all started with you and ended with you, for the
Oh,
record. You kept
I
it
have
real
a
with us.
little, I have a little
Renee,
something too. Yeah,
go ahead, Renee.
it tells a lot about you as well, because you did the footwork. Like, we met, we offered to meet with you. You showed up every week to meet with me, like every Tuesday. Like, you know what I mean? So you're also doing the work. So we offered it, and if you take us up on it, we
Yeah,
got you. But
yeah.
so
I needed it.
beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. And on that note, Shanice in the chat says, thank you all for your encouraging words and personal thoughts. Thank you again. And yes, on behalf of Renee, Helen, and I, and the Agents of Change, I'd like to thank you, Lisa, Edie. I'd like to thank you, Michaela, and Helen as well. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for sharing your
Yeah.
information
Woo,
with
woo,
us.
woo.
Right. And so, words of wisdom, y'all, take them as you will. And so you have examples of where you'll be soon enough. So thank you. At
Yes.
this point, we are going to conclude our alumni panel.